This is the Camp Chef PG24XT Smoke Pro Pellet Grill and Smoker. My first impression was how substantial it feels for the price. The cart is sturdy, the body is steel with a powder-coated finish. The grates are porcelain-coated steel, and the whole thing weighs around 133 pounds. It's about 50 inches wide, 24.5 inches deep, and just under 48 to 50 inches tall, depending on how you measure the stack. So it claims plenty of patio space. The total cooking area is 570 square inches, split between a 429 square inch lower rack and a 141 square inch upper rack. The hopper holds 18 pounds of pellets, which has covered most weekend cooks for me without refilling. Camp Chef rates it for up to 30 burgers, and that's realistic. Key features that stood out to me start with the Gen 2 digital PID controller. PID just means the computer inside constantly adjusts the pellet feed to hold a target temperature. The range is roughly 160 to 500 Fahrenheit. There's a low smoke mode that averages about 160 Fahrenheit, a high smoke around 220 Fahrenheit, and 25 Fahrenheit steps up to 400 Fahrenheit, plus a high setting to push near 500 Fahrenheit. It also has smoke control from 1 to 10, which is a fancy way of changing how aggressively it cycles the fire. Higher smoke numbers make more smoke by allowing wider temperature swings. Lower smoke numbers keep tighter temperatures with a cleaner burn. That trade-off matters, and it explains why some folks say pellet grills taste light on smoke. If you want a heavier smoke profile, you can turn the smoke number up, but you should expect more fluctuation. If you prefer the set it and hold it experience, run a lower smoke number and accept a cleaner flavor. The other signature feature is the ash cleanout. There's a lever that drops ash from the burn cup into a small cup under the fire pot, so you don't have to shop vac after every cook. When it works, it really does save time. The grease system is straightforward. A drip tray funnels into a bucket on the side. It's simple, but it means you need to keep that tray and chute clean, especially on long, fatty cooks. From my experience, assembly was smooth. The instructions were clear, and I appreciated the captive nuts in the legs because it kept me from fumbling around. Getting it leveled, seasoning it, and doing the initial burn-off took an afternoon. My first cooks were ribs and chicken thighs, and I was impressed with the temperature stability on a smoke number around 3 to 4. It held within about 5 to 10 degrees, which is exactly what you want when you're learning a new cooker. The smoke flavor at those settings is milder than a stick burner, but that's expected with a pellet rig. Where my opinion gets more nuanced is low and slow control. I rate a pork shoulder at 225 degrees on a smoke number 7 to lean into more smoke. The grill overshot into the 300s for a while, then swung down and settled. The food still came out great, but the swing was real. On another night, I set it to 205 degrees, went to bed, and woke up to a flameout. What happened? It overshot. The auger paused, the temp slid, and by the time the controller tried to recover, the fire pot was out and feeding raw pellets. That's a heart-sinking moment when you see a cold pit and a stalled cook. I contacted support and they were helpful. They sent a replacement controller. And since then, I've kept my overnight cooks at 225 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit with a lower smoke number for stability. If I want more smoke, I run at 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit while I'm awake and watching, then bump it up later. I've also noticed pellet brand and outdoor temps matter. A welding blanket in winter helps, and drier pellets feed more consistently. The ash cleanout deserves both praise and a note of caution. It's great to pull a lever and have most of the ash fall out, and I empty the cup after each cook. On day 1, though, my lever felt stuck. That's not uncommon because factory oils can bake during the burn-in and basically glue the plate. A few taps to the underplate loosened it, and I haven't had a jam since. But I wish someone had told me that up front. Grease management is another area I take seriously. On long cooks like pork butts, I line the drip tray with foil and set a disposable pan under the meat to catch the heavy drippings. That extra layer has saved me from flare-ups and keeps things cleaner. Searing is not this grill's strong suit on its own. It tops out around 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's no direct flame slide and grill feature on the XT. The design nudges you toward the Sidekick or Searbox propane attachment if you want steakhouse sear. I added the Sidekick, and it's night and day for finishing steaks and burgers. If you want a single box solution that truly sears over a flame, this isn't that without the attachment. It is, however, a very solid smoker and roaster. A quick note about probes. Some listings say it includes 2 meat probes, others say 1. Mine came with 1 stainless probe. I'd budget for a second if you monitor multiple cuts. Build quality feels sturdy where it counts. The cart, barrel, and lid feel like heavier gauge steel than budget brands I've owned. In my opinion, the weak link is the exterior finish. I started seeing small bubbles and flakes on the barrel after a handful of cooks. That led to surface rust. I cleaned, sanded, and hit it with high-heat paint, and now keep it covered when not in use. It's not covered under the warranty, which is frustrating, but common for paint on outdoor cookers. If you treat the finish like a maintenance item, you'll avoid headaches. On the tech side, this controller isn't Wi-Fi from the factory, but there's an optional Gen 2 Wi-Fi controller you can buy from Camp Chef. I tried it after my controller swap, and it's convenient to check temp curves on my phone. Not mandatory, but handy if you like to wander during a cook. Performance-wise, when I run 225 to 275 degrees Fahrenheit with a lower smoke number, it's a true set it and relax experience. When I push the smoke number higher or work in the 160 to 210 degrees Fahrenheit range, I keep an eye on it. It can do long cooks well, but I treat overnight sessions with respect. I also empty the ash cup, clean the drip areas, and vacuum the fire pot every few cooks. The grill's capacity is great for family gatherings. I've done ribs on the bottom, chicken on the top rack, and still had space. Burgers for a crowd are easy, and with the sidekick, I can sear them properly without fuss. It's perfect for someone who wants a straightforward pellet cooker that favors convenience and capacity, with the option to add a high-heat side burner for searing. From my experience, the strengths are ease of use, the ash cleanout, and that steady mid-range temperature control for day-to-day smoking. The trade-offs are the finish, the learning curve around smoke control versus precision, and the risk of low-temp flameouts if you're not mindful. I'd recommend this for new pellet grill owners who want a friendly starting point, and for tinkerers who don't mind a little maintenance and a couple of setup tweaks to dial in their cooks. If you need rock-solid, unattended, overnight smoking out of the box, or you demand ripping hot searing without accessories, you may be happier with a different configuration or by budgeting for the sidekick. In conclusion, the Camp Chef PG24XT hits the sweet spot on value, size, and day-to-day usability as a smoker and roaster. The controller can be excellent when used within its comfort zone. The smoke control gives you flexibility once you understand how it affects temperature swings. The ash cleanout is genuinely helpful if you keep it moving freely. The finish needs care, and the low-temp behavior needs respect. If you're okay with that balance, it's a satisfying cooker that can turn out great food. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more backyard gear reviews and tips, and drop your questions or your own PG24XT experiences in the comments. Thank you for watching.